Hi, I'm Eric Meyer. Today I'm going to show you how I made these Dancing Master calipers. So the first thing you need is a template and a leg model. I used Tim Curry from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Thank you, Tim. Anyway, I went ahead and rough cut all of my blanks from some mild steel. This proved to be a wrong choice, but a good one in the end ultimately. More about that later. Now I'm using some double stick carpet tape here so I can affix the template, and this just saves me from having to try and trace it out and then keep all those lines as I work. Having that paper already on there works a treat. Now I'm coming through and gang drilling all of these, and what you may not know about me is that I am trying to start my own tool company, and as part of that process is I need to learn how to make more than one thing at a time. So again, it's just more tape just to help keep everything in order, and I'll actually go back through later and add in a second screw hole so I don't have to rely purely on tape. So now I'm coming through and I'm just trying to rough cut everything, just get it all roughed out. So started on the bandsaw, I moved over to the disc grinder to kind of get that curve at the top in there, and then to the angle grinder to get into more of the tighter spots, and then back and forth between the angle grinder and files, just trying to get down to my line. And this is just a temporary bench. It's not very sturdy, so you see a lot of wobble and everything that's happening there, and ultimately it's a loss of efficiency. So that's going to be a future project, is making a new bench specifically for metalworking. So now what you see me doing is coming in and using my drill to just create, kind of peck at that and create a bunch of holes. And here is where I'm going to make a mistake. There it is. Snap my last bandsaw blade. With the bandsaw, I was trying to cut the curve too tight and it wasn't going to work. And I don't have a jeweler's saw to come in here and cut all of that out, so I am coming in with a punch and some pliers and just trying to bend those pieces until they break along that line that was created with all the holes, the drill holes. And that was working pretty well. It wasn't the most efficient thing. Making one of something is kind of easier when you're trying to make multiples of the same thing. It really illustrates where you need to tighten up your manufacturing process. So now again, angle grinder to try to get rid of a lot of the bulk, so I have less to file. And then I was using a Dremel with a carbide burr to get into some more of the detail stuff. Just again, trying to cut down on how much I have to use those files. And I just kind of worked back and forth between those two tools. Use the Dremel for a bit, take it down a little bit more with the file, use the Dremel on a different spot, and then take it down. So now what you see me do is come back in with some blue Dykem, and I'm using that so I can see where I have filed. So when, as you filed, that Dykem's going to come off, and I know, don't hit those spots anymore. Those spots are good. Move on to another section. It just helps me see where I'm at. So now I'm coming back through with the angle grinder and I'm cutting off a second screw that I put in, and I don't need that one. And that one was just there to help hold everything together. So it's again the same thing. It's more, grinding and filing until I can get down to my lines. And went ahead and chose to sand the edges and get those up to their final surface finish. While all of these were in one big stack, it just beat trying to sand all of them individually. And then when I get to the final grit, I'm just pulling it all along and just sanding in one direction just to make sure all of the scratch lines are even and moving, and I can avoid getting J hooks. And now I have to come back in and carefully get rid of the tape so I don't scratch up my surface. And now went to the disc grinder to try to get the initial surface on my parts, and then hand sanding them up to the final surface. And here you can see where I still have tons and tons of scratches. And this is where mild steel was the wrong choice. So the one thing about having the sanding go so poorly was that it led me to experimenting with the finish. And before I put in another 6 or more hours into sanding, I decided I'd try doing a stone wash finish. So I went ahead and I blackened all of the steel, and then now I just threw it in a bucket with some soapy water and actually some brass chunks that I had laying around because I didn't have any stones. And it came out with this nice like patinaed finish that I really liked for this piece, that I wouldn't have come across had everything gone how I had originally planned it. So now that I'm happy with the way these looked, I went ahead and gave them my stamp, and I got it upside down, but that's okay because I'm making multiples of these and I'm just going to keep that pair for myself. The rest of them though were all stamped correctly. Now it's just putting them together, and this is one of the easiest projects I've ever had to put together, and it's literally a screw and a nut. See it a little bit better there on how these come about. So these are a fairly easy tool to use. Just loosen the nut, open it to where you need to go, and then you can transfer your marks. Alternatively, you can use it to figure out how big something is. Clamp it around your part, then you can move it over to your ruler. And now for the all-important quality control. Has it passed? I think it has. So as I mentioned, I messed up one. I'm just going to keep that one for myself because you always have to keep one for yourself. Those are just the rules. At any rate, that leaves 3 that are available. Some of these are being auctioned off, and some will be for direct sale on my website with the proceeds going to charity. In the description, I've left links for all of that information, so if you want to pick up a set for yourself and support a great cause at the same time, be sure to check those out. If you like what you saw today, please consider liking, subscribing. It helps out the channel. And I sincerely appreciate the time you've taken out of your day to spend it watching what I've done. So thank you, and I will see you on the next one.